The galaxy was wide and cruel, filled with voices that spoke only when power was on their side. For centuries, alliances of countless species had ruled with laws that sounded fair but acted cold. In this endless sea of politics and silence, small voices were lost. Among those voices was an alien plea, a call for help, weak, desperate. Ignored. The signal came from a broken colony ship drifting near the edge of a dying star. Its hull was torn apart by pirate fire, its engines cracked open, bleeding sparks into space. Inside, the alien survivors huddled in the dark, whispering to one another, waiting for a rescue that would never come. They had sent the distress call. Across every major channel, their voices shaking with fear. Yet no empire moved, no fleet turned. No captain answered. To most, they were strangers of little value, unworthy of risk, unworthy of sacrifice. But across the stars, on a human vessel named Resolute Dawn, the message reached an old radio channel rarely used. The one who heard it was Captain Elias Ward, a man not known for following the rules of the great councils. He was human, and that word alone carried weight. Humanity was still young among the stars, still tested, still underestimated. To many alien powers, humanity was reckless, stubborn, emotional. And yet it was this stubbornness that made Elias listen when no one else would. He leaned over the console, frowning at the broken pattern of the message. It was faint, filled with static, nearly lost in the noise of space. But the meaning was clear enough. Help us. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, imagining the faces behind those words. His crew exchanged uneasy looks, waiting for his decision. The human captain stood slowly, his silver uniform catching the glow of the ship's lights. "Plot a course," he ordered. His voice was calm, but beneath it was something harder, something unshakable. "Captain," his first officer Mara spoke carefully, "the councils have already dismissed this signal. It's a trap, maybe, or simply a cost no one wants to pay." Elias turned his gaze on her. "And since when do we weigh lives like coins?" The silence that followed was heavy. Mara lowered her eyes, but the truth hung in the air. They all knew the risks. The pirates who had attacked the colony ship could still be nearby. Entering that zone meant danger, maybe even death. But to Elias, the thought of ignoring the call was heavier than any danger. The ship moved through the dark like a silver blade. Outside, the stars stretched like endless eyes watching. Inside, the crew worked quietly, some whispering doubts, others hiding a small ember of pride. For though they feared what waited ahead, they knew what made them human was not caution, but the choice to act when no one else would. Hours passed before the wreck came into view. The alien vessel was a shattered skeleton, its once proud design now bent and burned. Fires glowed faintly inside, flickering against the vacuum. Elias stood at the viewport, watching in silence. Then he gave the order, "Prepare boarding teams." The docking was rough. Metal screamed against metal as the Resolute Dawn locked onto the alien ship. When the humans entered, the air was filled with the bitter stench of smoke and melted steel. They moved carefully, lights cutting through the dark. Halls. Then came the sound, a weak, trembling cry from deeper within. Mara raised her weapon, but Elias lifted a hand. "Hold," he whispered. They followed the sound into a chamber half-collapsed, wires hanging like roots. There, crouched in the shadows, were the survivors. Their eyes were wide and glowing faintly, their thin frames wrapped in torn cloth. Children clung to their elders, and the elders clung to hope that had nearly died. One of them staggered forward, their voice hoarse. Broken, the language was strange but filled with meaning. "You came." Elias knelt, lowering his weapon, lowering his guard. His voice was steady as he answered, "You called, we heard." For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Here, in the broken bones of a forgotten ship, humanity chose to answer when all others turned away. And in that choice, something Greater stirred not just in the survivors' eyes, but in the hearts of every human who stood there. Because in the endless cold of space, mercy was rarer than any star. And mercy was what made them dangerous. The survivors stared at the humans as if they were seeing ghosts. Their world had been burning for days, and now strangers stood in front of them, strangers who should not have come. No one came for the weak. That was the way of the galaxy. Yet here was a human captain with fire in his eyes, offering something more than pity. Elias Ward took a step closer. His boots echoed on the broken metal floor. He saw the fear, the doubt, the hope that trembled like a candle flame. Slowly, he reached out a hand to the nearest alien child. The child hesitated, then pressed a small, shaking hand into his. It was a fragile grip, but in it Elias felt the weight of 1,000 silent screams. "Get them to the ship," Elias said softly. Now, the crew moved fast. They carried the injured, guided the young, supported the weak. Some aliens looked too fragile to survive, but they clung to the humans with surprising strength. Mara walked beside Elias, her rifle ready, her eyes scanning the shadows. "Captain," she whispered, "something's wrong. This ship is too quiet." She was right. The wreck should have been a graveyard of noise-creaking metal, failing systems, gas leaks. But it was almost silent, too silent. Elias felt it too. His instincts screamed. Then the answer came. The ship shook with a deep rumble. Lights flickered. A shadow passed across the broken viewports, and in that instant, they saw it. Pirate ships. Moving in, their black hulls sharp as knives. They had been waiting, watching, letting the survivors cry into the void until only bait remained. Mara cursed under her breath. "Ambush!" Elias did not flinch. He stood taller, his eyes narrowing. "On the enemy ships. Then we fight." The Resolute Dawn's alarms blared as its crew rushed to battle stations. Boarding teams pulled the survivors into the docking tubes, moving as fast as they could. The pirates fired first bright lances of plasma, ripping through the black. The Resolute Dawn shuddered under the impact, but her shields held. On the bridge, the crew looked to their captain. He did not panic, his voice was iron. "Return fire." All batteries, the human ship roared back. Beams of light tore across space, striking the pirate vessels. One exploded into fire, scattering debris. But there were more. Too many, they circled. Like wolves, each one hungry for the kill dot in the chaos. Mara turned to Elias. "We can't win this fight head-on. We're outnumbered." Elias glanced at the docking bay doors, where frightened alien faces peered out, trusting him. Depending on him. His jaw tightened. "Then we don't fight for victory. We fight for time. Every second mattered. Every shot fired bought another survivor a chance to live." The crew understood. They fought harder, fiercer, pushing their ship beyond her limits. The Resolute Dawn was not the largest vessel in the galaxy, but she carried something the pirates did. Not humans who refused to surrender. Elias gripped the console, his voice carrying through every channel. "This ship will not break. Not today. We are the wall between them and death. Hold the line." The crew answered with fire and steel. Explosions lit the void as humans and pirates clashed in a storm of plasma. The alien survivors watched from the safety of the human ship, their eyes wide with disbelief. No one had ever fought for them before. No one had ever risked so much for strangers. And in that moment, they realized something dangerous. Humanity was not like the others. The battle raged outside, fire against fire, light against darkness. The Resolute Dawn shook again, alarms screaming through the corridors. Sparks rained from the ceiling as engineers scrambled to keep the engines alive. Every system was pushed to the edge, and still the pirates came, wave after wave, their black hulls cutting through the void. On the bridge, Elias Ward stood like an unmovable stone. His eyes never left the stars, even as his crew shouted damage reports. He could feel the weight of every life behind him, the human crew who trusted him, and the alien survivors who now clung to hope for the first time in days. "Shields are failing, Captain." Mara shouted, "We can't take another direct hit." Elias's jaw tightened. "Divert power from weapons to shields." The crew hesitated. "Captain, our firepower will drop by half." "Do it," Elias snapped. His voice was sharp, but his eyes softened when they fell on the alien survivors huddled in the corner of the bridge, too weak to move. "Our mission isn't to win this battle. Our mission is to keep them alive." The order was obeyed. Energy flowed into the shield grid, and for a moment, the resolute dawn glowed brighter, resisting another blast. The pirates pulled back slightly, circling like predators, waiting for the shield to break. One of the aliens, older and frail, struggled to his feet. His skin was pale, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. He spoke in broken words, his voice rasping but full of urgency. "You should not have come. The pirates, they hunt us. Because of what we carry." Mara frowned, her weapon lowering. "What do you mean?" The alien's hands trembled as he reached into his torn robes. From a hidden pocket, he pulled out a small crystal, no larger than a human's fist. It glowed with a strange, shifting light, colors moving like liquid fire inside it. The bridge fell silent. Even the humans, hardened by war, stared at it with awe. "What is that?" Elias asked, his voice steady but curious. The alien looked at him with tired eyes. "The heart of Vera. An ancient core. It is. Knowledge, power, a map to places forgotten, older than the councils, older than your kind. The pirates want it. The empires fear it. That is why no one came. To help us is to carry our curse." Mara cursed under her breath. "Captain, if the councils knew we had this, they'd come for us too," Elias finished for her. His gaze never left the crystal. He saw not just its light, but what it meant. A truth too dangerous for the galaxy, left in the hands of those too weak to defend it. He looked at the alien elder. "And you sent the call anyway, knowing anyone who answered would face the same fate." The elder lowered his head. "We hoped someone would be different." Elias was quiet for a long time. The bridge vibrated under another impact. A console sparked, filling the air with smoke. His crew looked at him, waiting for the decision that would decide all their lives. Finally, he spoke. His voice was calm, firm, like steel drawn in silence. "Then you were right. Someone is different." He turned to his crew. "We're not running, not today. If the galaxy wants to turn its back, let it. Humanity will stand where others fall." The crew nodded, fear mixing with pride. Mara gave a thin, grim smile. "Then we fight, Captain, for them and for us." The pirates began their next attack run, closing in for the kill. But the resolute Dawn did not run. She burned brighter, shields flaring, weapons charging. And in the hearts of her crew, something unshakable was born. The alien survivors clutched each other, their eyes fixed on the humans who refused to abandon them. For the first time, they believed the crystal might survive. For the first time, they believed mercy was not dead in the stars. The pirates struck again, harder than before. Their ships closed in, forming a noose of steel and fire around the resolute Dawn. Plasma bolts hammered against the shields, shaking every deck. Men and women clung to their stations, fighting to keep systems alive. Sparks flew from consoles, smoke filled the air, and still they refused to abandon their posts. Shields at 30%. Someone shouted across the bridge. Mara's hands flew across her console. "They're trying to cut off our escape vector, Captain." Elias Ward's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't escape." The crew turned to him, disbelief in their eyes. But he did not flinch. He stood firm, calm in the storm. "We fight here. If they want the heart, They'll have to tear it from our hands. And I promise you, they will break before we do." The words lit a fire in the humans. They tightened their grips on the controls, steadied their breath, and returned to their duties with renewed determination. But deep inside, everyone knew the truth. Their ship was outnumbered, their weapons outgunned. The pirates weren't afraid to die, because greed made them fearless. Humanity had something stronger, but even strength could only last so long. The alien elder clutched the glowing crystal, his thin body trembling. "You risk your people for us?" Ilias met his gaze. His voice was low, steady, and without doubt. "No one deserves to be abandoned. Not while I still draw breath." The elder bowed his head. To his people, mercy had always been weakness. But here, mercy looked like courage. The pirates unleashed a new weapon, a massive cannon fired from their flagship. The blast tore across space, slamming into the Resolute Dawn. The shields shattered like glass. The ship reeled, alarms howling, lights flickering into darkness. "Shields are gone," Mara cried. One more hit like that, and her words were drowned by another explosion. A section of the lower decks tore apart, venting fire and air into the void. Dozens of humans were gone in an instant. The survivors on the bridge froze in horror. Elias felt the weight of it like a blade through his chest. But he did not let it show. His voice thundered across the comms. "All hands, hold your ground. Every second we live, another life is saved. Every shot we fire tells them humanity does not break." The crew roared back in unison, their voices shaking the walls. In the chaos, Mara leaned close to him, her voice fierce. "Captain, we can't hold like this. We need an edge, something they don't expect." Ilias thought quickly, his eyes scanning the star map. Then his gaze fell on the dying star at the edge of the system, the same star that had nearly swallowed the alien colony ship. Its gravity was unstable, its storms violent, its surface boiling with fire. A plan began to form. Dangerous, impossible, but maybe their only chance. "We draw them into the star's pull," Ilias said. Mara stared at him. "That's suicide. Not if we play it right," he said. His eyes burned with that familiar human stubbornness. "We hold the line, drag them in, and then break free at the last second. The star will do what we can't." The crew looked at him, fear and hope clashing in their faces. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. If their captain believed, then so did they. The Resolute Dawn turned her battered hull toward the burning light of the star. Engines screamed, pushing against the void, dragging the pirates into the storm. Plasma bolts still tore at her hull. But now there was no turning back. The humans had chosen their battlefield. The alien survivors watched, holding the heart tightly, their eyes wide with awe. They had expected death. Instead, they were witnessing something else: defiance, so fierce it could bend the course of a star itself. And in the silence between blasts, one truth echoed across the bridge. Humanity was not fighting for power, or treasure, or glory. Humanity was fighting because no one else would. The Resolute Dawn dragged her broken body toward the burning giant. The star filled the viewport, its surface boiling with waves of fire, arcs of plasma leaping into the void like claws. The closer they came, the more the ship groaned, metal, straining against gravity's pull. Behind them, the pirates followed. They believed the humans were desperate, fleeing blindly into certain death. They didn't see the plan until it was too late. "Captain," Mara said, her voice tight, "we're already at maximum heat tolerance. Any closer and the hull will start to melt." Ilias Ward stood tall at the center of the bridge, his gaze locked on the swirling inferno ahead. His voice was calm, steady as stone. "Then we won't stay long. Hold the line just a little further." The pirates pressed closer, hungry for the kill. Their ships opened fire again, bolts of plasma striking the Resolute Dawn's exposed hull. The human ship shuddered, tearing open new scars. Engineers fought to keep the engines alive, patching systems with their bare hands. The air was filled with smoke, sweat, and the stench of burning circuits. Radiation levels climbing. One officer shouted, "Outer plating is tearing apart." Another cried, but still Elias gave no order to turn away. His eyes flickered to the star map. He was waiting, timing every second, every movement. With the patience of a hunter, the alien elder clutched the glowing crystal, trembling as he stared at the human captain. "Why do you fight so hard, for those not your own?" Elias finally looked at him. "Because strength means nothing if it isn't used to protect the weak." The words struck deeper than any weapon. The alien elder lowered his head, tears forming in eyes that had only known betrayal. Then the moment came. The pirate flagship surged forward, leading the pack. Its weapons blazed, firing directly at the resolute Dawn. The impact shook the bridge, throwing crew to the floor. But Elias only gritted his teeth. His hand tightened on the arm of his chair. "Now," he ordered. The resolute Dawn's engines flared, burning brighter than ever before. She banked hard, veering away from the star with a scream of tortured metal. The sudden maneuver caught the pirates off guard. Their momentum carried them forward straight into the star's gravity well. Alarms blared across the pirate fleet as they realized the trap. Engines roared, trying to break free. Some managed to turn, but others were pulled too deep. Their hulls ignited in flames, breaking apart as the star swallowed them whole. One ship after another fell, consumed by fire, their screens lost in the storm. On the bridge of the resolute Dawn, cheers erupted. The crew cried out in triumph, their voices shaking with relief. For the first time in hours, victory felt possible. But the price was not yet paid. Engines at critical levels. Mara shouted, "We can't hold this course much longer." The ship groaned, metal twisting under the strain. Warning lights flashed red across every console. The star's pull was still strong, dragging them closer. They had escaped the pirates' jaws, but now the star itself threatened to claim them. Elias gripped the railing, his voice steady. "Divert all remaining power to thrusters. Burn everything we have." "Captain, if we burn everything, there won't be a later." Elias cut her off. "Do it." The order was obeyed. The resolute Dawn roared with one final surge of power, her engines screaming as they fought the pull of the dying star. The ship trembled violently, lights flickering, metal tearing, but inch by inch, she climbed free. At last, with a thunderous burst, the human vessel broke from the star's grasp, limping into open space. Behind them, the pirates who had survived fled into the void, broken and beaten, unwilling to chase further. Silence fell on the bridge. The crew slumped in exhaustion, their faces pale, their bodies shaking. They had survived the impossible. Mara turned to Elias, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "Captain, we did it." Elias looked at her, then at the survivors huddled together, still clutching the heart of Vera. His face was tired. His uniform burned and torn, but his eyes still held that unshakable fire. "No," he said quietly. "It's not over yet. Now we find out what they died to protect." The crystal in the alien elder's hands pulsed brighter, as if answering his words. Its glow filled the bridge, casting long shadows. And in that light, the fate of more than one world seemed to tremble. The bridge was quiet after the battle. The silence broken only by the faint hum of damaged engines. The crew sat in their stations, exhausted but alive. Smoke still lingered in the air, carrying the bitter memory of fire and sacrifice. At the center of it all, the alien elder held the glowing crystal, the heart of Vera. Its shifting colors painted his frail face with light. Slowly, he looked at Elias Ward, the human captain who had risked everything. "You saved us," the elder whispered. "But you do not understand what this crystal is. It carries more than knowledge. It carries the memory of worlds long gone. and the power to reshape what is left. Elias stepped closer, his eyes steady. "Then tell me." The elder raised the crystal, and suddenly the bridge was filled with visions, images cast not by machines, but by the crystal's ancient light. Stars being born and dying. Civilizations rising, falling, leaving behind only dust. Empires devouring. Weaker races in silence, always justifying their cruelty with laws and power. And then came another vision: humans. Small in number compared to the great empires, fragile, reckless, and yet different. Where others turned away, humans stepped forward. Where others saw weakness, humans saw kinship. Again and again, the heart showed stories of humanity answering calls no one else would. When the light faded, the elder's voice shook. "Do you see now? The councils fear this. They fear that mercy can outlive power. They fear a future where the weak are not abandoned, where unity matters more than strength. That is why they left us to die." The crew was silent, the weight of the truth pressing down on them. Mara's eyes met Elias's, waiting for his judgment. Elias Ward stood tall, his voice carrying across the bridge like iron in the dark. "Then, they are right to fear. Because if this is what they want buried, then humanity will be the ones to carry it. Not for glory, not for conquest, but because the galaxy needs to remember what it forgot." The elder lowered his head, tears shining in his eyes. "Perhaps your kind is the answer we searched for." Elias turned to his crew. "We'll take the heart to safe ground, but not to hide it. To protect it, until the day comes when the galaxy is ready to face the truth." The crew straightened, weary but proud. They had faced death, and they had seen why they mattered. Not because they were the strongest, not because they had the most weapons, but because they were the only ones who refused to turn away. The alien survivors bowed deeply, their voices breaking as they spoke. "We will never forget. When all others abandoned us, humanity stood." Elias looked out the viewport, where the stars stretched endless and cold. Yet in that darkness, he saw something brighter than any sun, the proof that mercy itself could be a weapon. "Let the galaxy turn its back," he said quietly. "Humanity never will." And with that, the resolute dawn limped forward into the stars, scarred but unbroken, carrying both the survivors and the heart of Vera. Behind them lay silence, wreckage, and the ashes of empires that had chosen fear over compassion. Ahead of them lay danger, uncertainty, and war. But for the first time in a long time, there was also hope, because humanity had heard the cry. And humanity had answered.